solo performances, either instrumental or a cappella. We have been fortunate enough on several interviews to have guests spontaneously burst into song at the end. They were singing arias, and I'm no opera aficionado, but it sounded pretty amazing to my ears. And if you do check our hashtag on Instagram, BBP Cistern, you will find a short clip of a gentleman singing Ave Maria at the end of one of our tours. It's pretty incredible. So there's several areas of the cistern, especially this corner, that have a different texture than the rest. These are called skims. They were sprayed on by our engineers to plug up leaks that come from small hairline cracks and fractures. If you notice some moisture on that far wall that we walked by, those are one of those leaks that our engineers are going to come in a little bit later on in the week and spray a skim on. If you look at the natural texture of the cistern, however, you'll notice that it almost looks like planks of wood. That's because a technique known as board form concrete was used to build the walls. They stacked up two parallel rows of wood, poured concrete in between them, allowed it to dry, and then pried off those planks. The dried concrete had taken the shape and dimensions of the boards, as well as the grain from the wood. If you look real close, you can still see it. That same technique was used to build the ceiling in 4 separate sections as well. You can actually see a seam right there. So sometime in late 2004 or early 2005, the cistern actually sprung a massive leak. Now by this time it had been somewhat of an antiquated water reservoir. You know, it only holds 15 million gallons. We get 52 billion from Lake Houston alone. So it was not used as much, and the engineers didn't check on it as frequently. However, in mid-2005, an engineer did come down here, and he noticed there was the water level could only go up to about 16 or 17 feet. Now when the city investigated repairing the leak, they actually deemed the cistern financially burdensome just to keep operating, and in 2007, it was officially decommissioned. So if you've lived in Houston pre-2007, you probably have used a little water that was stored here. Now during this same time, the Buffalo Bayou Partnership was renovating the area from Shepherd to Sabine Street. When we first heard about the cistern, as well as it being decommissioned, we initially thought, great, let's bulldoze it and put in some more parking. Thankfully, some members of our crew came down here with the engineering department, and when they saw the cistern firsthand, they were left in awe. The raw industrial beauty of the space, the sound quality, the light reflecting off the water. It reminded them of the Basilica cistern in Istanbul, Turkey. So we approached the city and said, if we can get it up to code, put in a walkway, guardrails, etc., would you allow us to take control of the cistern? The city agreed, and thanks to several very generous donations, we were able to preserve the cistern instead of demolishing it for parking.
If everyone would turn around, you can see our last original site feature. It's called the spillway. And you can, if you really straighten your eyes, you might see a little hatch and a ladder coming down. It was originally used when filling up the cistern to use as an overflow. Water, when they were filling it up, would go over the top of that spillway, and they would see it and they'd know it was full to capacity, because to go above that 6 inches from the ceiling could cause structural damages. So this was a built-in feature as a safeguard. I'm sure that in newer structures they don't have anything like that today, but that at the time was pretty high technology.
So for the next year or so, we're going to continue giving tours like this of the cistern. We want to allow Houstonians a chance to rediscover this unique architectural and historical space. We will, however, transition the cistern into an art gallery. We're going to have installations from artists who work in the mediums of light and sound, and yes, their art will be displayed throughout the cistern. Now many people hear this and think that means we're going to hang the art from columns or have sculptures down below. No. These are going to be very avant-garde and contemporary works, and the medium of the art will not be physical, but rather light and sound. We are hoping to have our first installation in before the Super Bowl, so around January of next year. The artist who we're thinking of actually did a test run last week. They came in here, set up part of the display, and it's not confirmed, so I can't tell you anything about the artist or the installation, but I was fortunate enough to see it, and they make magnificent usage of the cistern as their canvas. I always feel like such a tease. I'm like, I've seen it and it's so great, but I can't tell you. We do have one permanent art piece, and that's Donald Lipsky's down periscope. If you go atop the cistern on the Brown Foundation lawn, you'll see what looks like an old-timey submarine periscope. It allows you to activate a camera, floodlights, and a microphone so you can see and hear what's going on in the cistern. Those floodlights are on, so somebody's currently watching us. Everybody wave hi. There's also a website attached to that, HoustonDownPeriscope.com. It allows anyone in the world to log on through the net, look through that camera, and see what's happening in the cistern. So just to give you some idea of how Houston and our water usage has really changed and grown, remember that steam-powered plant that I told you was pumping 2 million gallons of water a day back in 1879? Does anybody have any idea how many gallons of water we currently use per day?
152 million.
152 million?
I mean billion.
No, billion's a little high. It's between 400 and 500 million gallons per day. And of that, only 2% is drinking water. The rest is for industrial usage or lost through water waste. So keep that in mind the next time you leave the sink running. Well, I want to thank you all so much for coming out and visiting the cistern today. Before we exit, does anybody have any questions that we can answer?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Are you guys trying to do like physical performances of the song in the near future?
Well, you know, because like I said, you can't really have an ensemble perform down here, only a solo performance. We haven't really decided yes or no completely. We are open to suggestions. We're mostly focused at the moment on the art in here, but there will be a sound element to most of the installations. But for a straight up performance, like you know, an a cappella singing performance, we haven't had anyone, you know, come and suggest it to it, and we haven't decided whether or not that's the way we want to go. So, any other questions?
The water coming in from the pipe over there, that's from where?
That's our water's now connected to the city water main, and that's just surface water, no different than what you'd get at home if you turned on a faucet or your garden hose.
But there's nothing in the water like snakes or
No, no snakes, no fish, no. We do have some little insects. There's some dragonflies that somehow make their way in, but yeah, there are no snakes, anything like that. And we don't have stagnation issues because we actually cycle the water every 48 hours. So, you know, there's no algae blooms, there are no mosquitoes breeding. You're not going to get Zika from them biting you or anything in the cistern. So, any other questions? Yes.
Can we yell again?
Sure, why not? All right, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes, the gentleman asked.
Yeah.
You'll see some netting there. We have one of two sky hatches. One's here, the other one's on the far end. They are actually closed at the moment. We've been having some mechanical issues with them, but to be honest,